I'll just keep it.
Put that in post-production. Since is that you fucked up.
I fucked up.
That'll be the intro. Hey everyone, this is Curb, and I bring you another standard match. So today we have myself trying out another one of my old decks that I guess I'm a little popular for at this point. Of course, that being Messiah with the new support from set 1, DZ set 1, of course. And I am going to be going up against Kyrie on the left. So I think we already see a little bit of a misplay here. I totally forgot to draw for the crest skill. You do actually get to draw a card when you acquire that crest. So you can see I only have 5 cards in my hand. I should have 6. So we'll see if that ends up coming up. But, you know, it is whatever. We're just playing the Williston ride line. Of course, is just kind of one of the better ride lines in Lyrical in general. If you really want to make a Lyrical deck just like that, little bit more playable, just splash in the Williston ride line. We see myself using one of the new cards from set 1, one of the few new cards. I think this might be the only new card that I added. Of course, that Brontgate Energy Cycler. It basically is just there to help you draw more cards. It serves as a better habitable zone, because if you remember, if you've seen any of my deck profiles at all, you would know that basically I played habitable zone because it's just kind of like what was it, like a loan on your draw cards. You draw for 1 soul instead of waiting until you get to grade 4. So this one is better in the sense that it lets you draw the card now, and it also lets you draw the card later because you don't actually have to use any soul. Anyways, we do see me drive checking that OT, which is, you know, a little bit unfortunate. It would have been much better to get it at a like a more impactful moment in time in the game, but of course, you know, it is what it is. Like, it's out of the game, so we don't really have to worry about it, or at least my opponent doesn't have to worry about it. But it kind of just means I can't really rely on it for this game. But, you know, that's perfectly fine. Vanguard without OT is probably just like better Vanguard in any way. So of course, just doing the Williston ride line things, searching out the crossing Illumirays, playing it and drawing 2 cards, and then of course the new companion for the Williston ride line, of course, that being Strega allowing you to Soul Blast 1 and then just call anything off of the top 5. So looks like we probably didn't get too great of a top 5 there, because we're kind of just like deciding what we want to call off of the top. Going to be calling another Strega here, and then trying to use the skill, but of course that is actually not possible. You can't actually use Strega off Strega because this has to be called by something that is not another unit card's ability. It has to be called either like as a normal call, or it has to be called by an order card's effect. So of course that is not going to be happening, but you know, Strega is still just going to be a body on board that is just, you know, going to be allowing for stronger attacks or multi-attack for this first turn. So we've got pretty decent columns here. We've got 10k here. I'm kind of deciding if I can get a defensive on this first swing, then I will be able to, you know, kind of stave off both these attacks without guarding. So I think I'm going to opt for that, and it does actually pay off because I get a defensive here, making this Vanguard a 1 to pass. And unfortunately, we do see the 1 to pass there, especially it being a critical trigger, meaning that I'm already going to get pushed to 4. So things are not really looking that great for me. But thanks to defensive, I don't have to really worry about the last attack, which I guess is the small reprieve that I have here. Discarding the Stride Fodder Dragon there just to draw another card, kind of just replenishing my hand, energy charging the 3. So if I do end up drawing to any more of those energy cyclers, then I should be able to, you know, use its skill. Unfortunately, the one minus that the energy cyclers do have over habitable zone is that habitable zone can use his skill when you use him to pay for the cost of stride, whereas the energy cyclers cannot. You see me drive checking, kind of just 2 blanks there. I've got my stride cost for next turn and a PG, so the hand's looking pretty healthy, I would say. But we are looking to stare down a grade 4 Kyrie turn here, assuming that we do have, like, you know, the ride skipper, because I am at grade 3, and that's just going to allow Kyrie to, you know, skip all the way up to that grade 4. So going to be energy blasting 7 to draw a card, and it's looking like we might not have the ride skipper because, you know, obviously we probably would have just thrown it down even before we drew the card off of So going to be playing that super aesthetic shot there, counterblasting the 1, and then giving yourself the skill to give all of your rear guards 5k for this turn, which I think we're probably just playing in order to, you know, use that Strega there, which is going to give us another opportunity to try and get that Ride Skipper. Of course, Yuki getting her 5k since now I am up grade 3. Gosh, I cannot speak today. Checking the top 5. Looks like we're not going to be able to be getting anything very good, just adding it for Brittle, which is going to be nice for next turn. Although, you know, you don't really necessarily need to search out your grade 4 because you just do ride it from, I think it's deck or soul or drop. Yeah, I know it's like Kyrie has like the best ride fixer other than like Seraph Snow. Looks like overcalling the other Strega with what's her name, Penelope, I think, and then calling out that dog girl who's going to be a 15k booster. Definitely one of the reasons why not a lot of people are playing Kyrie right now. It did get some kind of indirect support with set 13, and then of course you could still play the set 1 cycle cards if you want to use your energy a bit more effectively. But Kyrie, we haven't really been seeing her since like set 5 era, when she was kind of a pretty good deck there. But a lot of people are sleeping on her, but she has some pretty solid support, and the deck I would say is fairly solid. But I think the biggest problem with it is just like nobody really wants to play it, no one wants to experiment with it. I definitely think that it can do a lot of work. So we do actually see a little bit of a misguard here. That column was a 33 thanks to the skill of the order, and I do just guard for straight 33. That's not actually a mistake on my part, that's a mistake on my opponent's part. We kind of both forgot that we played that order, or that the order was played, so we kind of just forgot about it and didn't use any of its numbers, which is why I guarded that for 33, because he told me that it was 23. Now I'm going to be taking the Penelope here, just going to 5, but I do get a heal trigger, which allows me to go back down to stay at 4. We got the 13 swinging in for a 1 to pass. I figure I'm not going to risk it, and thankfully it did pay off because we do see a heal trigger being hit here, so that would have passed. Normally I would have preferred to guard with just like a 5k, like if I had an energy cycle that would have been perfect, but of course I don't want to give up any of the 5k shields I have in my hand because they're all combo pieces. And we see a front coming on down after that swing for a 60k, and then of course using the skill of that little dog girl to bounce back the Penelope back to the hand. I am just going to be taking it, going to 5, which is kind of worrying, but at the same time, like just not guarding has allowed me to like bulk up my hand very effectively, so I have a lot of cards, and I am going to be getting even more cards by the end of this turn. So I'm not really feeling that bad about, you know, being at 5 damage. Unfortunately, that is kind of what you do have to do with Messiah sometimes. We do see the I didn't really mention this, but I know I'm known for my set order build of Messiah, but for the time being I don't really think it's as good anymore. I'm thinking that once set 2 drops, I might try going back to it, because then we can play just one Refurbishment Dock and the Order Searcher in order to make it a little bit more consistent. But for now, I am going back to some classic Messiah shenanigans, including that Sacrifice, which historically I've not really been a huge fan of. And I guess I after playing with Sacrifice for a bit, I think I do have to say that he is a little bit better than I gave him credit for. Just having that other lock does mean that you can like boost your first Vanguard swing in this instance, because like normally with a Bulbul Mine this would be like 15 and then 23, or 23 and then 15, or actually it would be 20, but it is whatever. But I will say Sacrifice does a pretty decent job at being a reusable booster, which is the only reason I kind of like him. And then he does give an extra 5k to your regard. Anyways, getting back into the match, we do see me flipping over an Angel Ladder along with a double heal trigger here, which is pretty nice because I was just at 5 damage and now I'm back down to 3. Got plenty of cards in my hand. Unfortunately, only dealing 1 damage there, but it is whatever. These numbers are pretty big thanks to that double trigger there, and of course the extra 10k power and the 20k power from unlocking the Sacrifice there. So going to be swinging for, I believe that should be 38. Let's see, it was 23 before. Oh no, it's much bigger than that. It was 33 before. It goes up to 38 with the crest skill. 2 more triggers is going to make that 58. And then this other column is swinging for 15 plus another 5, 20k. 20k from the amnesty and another 10k is going to be making it what was I saying, 50. So I'm also here. The reason why you see me just like scrounging is because I'm trying to figure out what the numbers are, and then this is the point where I realize it doesn't actually matter because they both call for the same amount of guard. 450 and 48 are going to be calling for the same amount of guard, so it doesn't really matter which order I did actually attack in. So just me saying 48, 50. That is a very large amount to guard. What is that? A 40k shield, which is at least 3 cards. So you're either PGing this or taking it. We did see just the first attack being taken, and it looks like we're just going to opt to take the last one. So in that single turn from my first stride turn, I managed to completely turn around the damage. We went from being 2 to 5 to 3 to 5 to 3. So pretty decent turn if I have to say so myself. I've got a ton of cards in hand. I've got my whole combo set up. Kyrie doesn't really have any interference in the deck inherently, so I'm pretty secure in my position here. So we do finally see the ride skipper. He has been there being procced in order to finally ride into the grade for Kyrie. Unfortunately, just like a turn too late. Well, not too late, a turn later than you would have preferred, which is kind of the main reason I was able to realistically really live that turn, because if we had been on grade 4 Kyrie that last turn, I would have had to deal with like one more attack from the Kyrie skill calling down another thing, and then, you know, it's just like attacking with another column. That would have been 5 attacks. But now with Penelope, we bounced back last turn. We are kind of all just set up in order to actually, you know, do those 5 attacks, which is kind of scary. Like, a lot of those numbers get pretty high, especially with Kyrie just giving blanket 5k, kind of like Mag does. But of course, Kyrie's units are a lot more efficient at you know, gaining more power on their own, and they do actually have boosters, which can tend to make them a little bit more of a threat. It's just kind of that difference of quantity versus quality, as we do see the grade 3 Stride Fodder Dragon here being used, counterblasting the one drawing card and giving an extra 10k to itself. So we've got plenty of cards in hand, as you can see, just basically from bouncing, from not having to call shield, and just generally not committing a whole bunch to the board. We do see a Yuika. It gets 5k thanks to the Kyrie skill. Calling another thing in front of it will give it another 5k, and of course the thing called gets another 5k, and then this thing gets a passive 5k on its own. Just like the dog, she is like just a passive 15k, except she's a 15k attacker. Now we do see a Yuika being called here behind the Vanguard. I did actually point out at the time, it is a really funny interaction that if you had called that Yuika first and then Superior ridden into the grade 4 Kairi, Yuika would actually get another 5k due to her ability. Because if you've ever read Yuika, Yuika just says if a unit in the same column is placed, it doesn't even have to be in front of it. If something is placed in its column, it doesn't say rear guard. So if you place your Vanguard and you have a Yuika in the same column, Yuika does get the power. So small misplay on my opponent's part there, but you know, in the end, it's not really gonna matter. Like, this is a Vanguard swing with triple drive. That's getting like PG'd or whatever. The extra 5k is probably not gonna make that much of a difference. Anyways, you see this first attack swing for 38, which is just like really annoying, I guess you could say. So just gonna be committing the guard there because I have a feeling that might be one of the smaller numbers that I'm staring down for this turn. Going to be taking this next attack is at 48. That's a pretty strong attack, so I do want to kind of just soften the blow. I don't really want to use a PG here, as we do see the Kyrie skill being used in order to just basically call down another column, this time calling back down the Restander and the Dog Curl, of course, the 15k booster, using his skill of the other card to Soul Blast one, restand it, give all front row units an extra 5k power. She does actually restand the entire column, so that Yuika is also going to be getting restood here. So I still have to stare down this Vanguard attack of, what is that, 2631. Going to be using an Elementaria, something kind of rare, that actually getting a free Elementaria. I feel like I've been playing so much Mag, people just use free Elementaria on me, so it feels good to be able to do it to someone else. Completely blank drive check there, but unfortunately we did see 2 PGs, which is gonna be kind of annoying. It does kind of mean that even though I only have to deal 1 damage and I've got 5 attacks, they're gonna be massive. Those double PGs means that it's probably going to be pretty livable. So I don't really, my opponent doesn't really have a lot to worry about. We see this next attack coming in at a very massive 45 here. And then I believe the other attack should be even stronger. Let's see, I think it was 38 last time. So with an extra 5k to the front row, that should be 43. It might be a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna be guarding this first attack for 45. Well, if that's 43 and this is 45, they're actually the same amount. So realistically, what I should have probably done is just taken this first one and banked on defensive. But instead, I'm going to be using 2 energy cyclers here, guarding with them for 33, 43. I just need another 5k and then intercepting because I do have a copy of the order. So I was able to just draw those 2 cards. Realistically, if I had just taken that first one, since these were the same number, I could have effectively been in the same situation, but maybe I could have kept like an extra 10k in hand, just due to the fact that I was using I guess I could have just saved on like 10k shields, or it is what it is. But gonna be taking this one. It's not gonna be a defensive. I don't remember what I drew off the energy cyclers, but if it was a defensive, that probably was not like the greatest play. If I was gonna take one of these, you should always just like take the first one. Just, you know, you have the chance of, you know, keeping some more cards in hand. And we'll see if that ends up biting me, as I'm going to be taking my next turn here. We do see, I don't know if you noticed there, but I did actually draw into a 6 damage heal, which is pretty funny to think about. But I think that is all of my heals out at this point. I'm just going to be ditching Stride Fodder to ride into, of course, Amnesty. We did see, I think we saw my 1 copy of Alter Ego Messiah go into the damage zone. So that kind of just means that I'm not going to be going to Exlix, although I don't really think Exlix would have been that much of different. Effectively, I'm still getting 5 attacks, pretty much the same amount of power for the most part. Honestly, Amnesty might have even just been the better choice, especially with those 2 PGs. Like the biggest pressure from Amnesty is just like these massive swings, especially if you have like a couple more than 2 cards face up in your G zone already. So just, I don't really think that makes that much of a difference, but it kind of just means I'm not going to be able to go into this turn. But Amnesty definitely can get the job done if he needs to. So we're going to swing this first one. Now that it is second stride, that is going to be swinging for 25. So going to be calling down for that 15k shield there, as you can definitely see that Kyrie has a lot of cards in hand. So guarding all these attacks is not going to be that big of a problem. But this next attack is swinging for 33, which is still at least like a 2 card guard there. But I guess we're kind of just deciding what is the optimal way to guard, because once these things get back up, they are going to be, or I guess back unlocked, they are going to be pretty massive. As we swing for the Amnesty, flipping the card, getting the 53k. Probably going to be calling out that PG that we saw drove checking in the last turn, giving an extra 20k to that other arrestor, getting an extra 10k. And unfortunately, my drive checks are going to be super blank here, just getting 3 grade 1s, which is kind of unfortunate. I would have preferred to have that Makani, another card that I put back in. Like I said, it's more traditional during this turn, because I would have been able to get like 2 more soul that would have translated to 2 more draws. At this point, I think I am really running low on triggers in deck, so it's not that surprising that I wasn't able to, you know, actually hit any there. But it's just a little unfortunate that I couldn't get that Makani a little bit earlier. But, you know, it is what it is. Anyways, just kind of calculating the numbers here. I think this other one is, let's see, it was at 33 before, so it should be at 38 with no triggers. And then that other one is 15 plus another 15 would be 30, plus another 20 is 50. No, wait, that's 40, and then 50 with the extra 10k. As we're going to be doing things a little bit weird. My opponent's just going to be PGing that one before I even attack with it, and then kind of just deciding how they want to guard this other one. Just going to be guarding with a 15k and a 20k shield there, just to block it, that other attack. Oh, I guess it hit 60. I might have missed something. Oh yeah, I did. I definitely just did the math wrong. I was correct to say 50 and then add the extra 10k, and that shows you. Whatever. I'm right. I'm also wrong. But don't judge me for it, because I don't know. You guys understand what I'm doing. Anyways, Kyrie going up to, what is that? 9? No, that's 8 energy. Gonna be energy blasting the 7 in order to draw a card. You saw me almost forget to energy charge there. I feel like I end up just doing it at the end phase most of the time because I always forget. And things aren't looking that great for me. I think that realistically, if I can survive this turn, I probably have things clutched in the next turn, just because I already have 4 face-up G units. So like, no matter what I stride, I'm getting an extra 20k to the front row, and then that's going to be going up to 25. I still have 2 CB and that sacrifice there, who's, even if I were to run out of CB, still gives me at least 1 more. So we're looking at pretty strong attacks. If Kyrie can't finish things this turn, it is pretty much GG's, I think. But of course, you know, Kyrie still is able to make a very strong attack numbers, as we see this 33 here swinging in. I don't actually have a ton of shield. I have a decent amount, but as you saw off of that last drive check, I've got a lot of 5k shields in my hand, which unfortunately are going to be just like accounting for a lot of that hand size. And I think I just still have like some stride fodder too. As you see me guarding 28, 33, and then another 5k shield to guard for that 38, that first attack. This next attack being 31 can be a little bit easier to guard. That's just a 20k guard as I commit the draw trigger and then the critical and the Mikani here, because I do realize that a lot of these other attacks are going to be pretty strong here, as we see the restand and then the Kyrie bouncing back and calling. So things are definitely looking bad for me. As you can clearly tell, we got this 31k here. I'm just calculating numbers because these two swings are going to be realistically pretty big. Let's see, that other swing is going to be 36 because everything's just like 5k more. That one is going to be at 38, so I'm going to need 30k shield and what is that, 25k shield. I do have 1 PG left in my hand, so I can PG the last one. So I figure the only way I realistically have to win this is if my opponent doesn't see a single trigger. So I'm going to be banking on 1 to pass. Unfortunately, not going to be getting it. And that last check is going to be a critical trigger. So that is going to be at the end of the match. Unfortunately, I could not cinch it. As you can see, I'm just going to be showing my hand here. I would have been able to survive that without any triggers. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.